All right, so let's get started with today's lesson, Unit 6, Lesson 2, Plotting Data. So unfortunately, this lesson requires all of us to be present and to be recording data on a table and a graph. So we're gonna have to cancel some of the problems in here, but that's okay. Let's look at the first one, representing data. Lynn surveyed 30 students about the longest time they had ever run. Andre asked them about their favorite color, purple. How could Lynn and Andre represent their data sets? Would they represent them in the same way? Why or why not? So remember, Lynn is talking about the longest time they had ever run. And Andre is asking about their favorite color. Okay? So we're going to be using different types of graphs or different types of graphs to represent them. In my honest opinion, if we're looking at about the longest time they ever ran, I would use a regular graph. Because you're going to be having different timestamps for different students. Andre is asking about their favorite color. I would recommend a tally mark. Because you'll know how many students like the color purple, the best color that ever existed. And if you don't agree, Control-Alt F4. Looking at problem 2.2, gathering data. Are older students always taller? Do taller students tend to have bigger hands? To investigate these questions, we will gather data. A person's arm span is the distance between the tips of the index fingers when their arms are fully spread out. So, if that's you right there, okay, and here are your 5 fingers. This is your index. This is your index. You're measuring that distance, okay? That's going to be your arm span. Your hand span is the distance from the tip of their thumb to the tip of their little finger when the fingers are fully spread out. So if you have a hand, that's beautiful, okay? If that's your hand, you have their tip of their little finger, that's this dude right here, and you have the thumb. Once again, this will be your hand span, okay? So I went ahead and actually calculated mine, and I recommend you do yours. Use a measuring tool. Go ahead and figure out your height, first of all. I am 182 centimeters tall. Your arm span, okay, that's this one right here. Your hand span, that's this one right here. And then your age in months. So if you're 13 years old, what's up, Trevor? If you're 13 years old, right, there's 12 months in a year, you would do 13 times 12, whatever the heck that is, 156. And then however many months have passed since your last birthday. I know, Trevor, I know. Okay? Once you do that, that's about it actually, because we can't do this one since we don't have the class. What types of graphical representations could be used to show the class height measurements? Make a graphical representation of the class height measurements. So if we could really do this, we would have age in months down here, and we would have the hand span up here. And what you'll see is a lot of data points like this. Choose a color and use it to plot a point on the coordinate plane that represents your own height and hand span. So once again, we're going to have height here in centimeters and the hand span in centimeters. So the height, I went up to 170, so I would make each of these 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, and then 180 right here, okay? For the hand span, if we look at the hand span is not that big, 21 centimeters. So make each of these 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So I am 182 centimeters and my hand span is 21. 182 would be somewhere over here. And then 21 would be halfway between 22 and 21. So approximately right there, okay? Go ahead and find where you're going to be, okay? Based on your scatter plot, answer these questions. So we're gonna have to just think about this one because unfortunately, we don't know much. Do taller students in your class tend to have bigger hands? Explain how you know. So it makes sense that taller students would have bigger hands, but you won't know until we do this in class. Is the hand span a linear function of height? I'm gonna say fudge no. Okay? Back. Are you ready for more? Although the data may seem accurate, displaying the data incorrectly can tell the wrong story. What's wrong with each of these graphic representations of the data? If we look at this first one, I'll be honest, I don't even know what they're comparing. What does the x-axis represent? What does the y-axis represent? Homie, you ain't telling me what these two things are. That's what's wrong. IDK, what you are talking about. Please write properly in your notebook. Oops. And then, how interested are you in cars? 25% of the people said very. I'm guessing very interested. Wait, what? 23% said some interested, but why is this all the way down here? Okay, this person should not create graphs. A for effort though. And just to give you a heads up, we also have the lesson 2 summary here. I highly recommend you go through it. It gives you a lot of the information as to what you were supposed to have gotten out of this lesson. I know that we didn't do much, but the idea is, are you able to collect data, plot the data, which is a fun way to say graph the data, and see if there's any patterns. Wait, what just happened? Any patterns as you graph it. Because it's not exactly linear, but it looks linear.